lots of ways to get in touch. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text 81333. Start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, campaigners in support of Leon Briggs, the Luton man who died in police custody, are calling for all police officers to wear video equipment to reassure the public. The Justice for Leon Committee is making the case to police and councillors at the Town Hall in Luton this afternoon. 39-year-old Leon died at Luton Police Station on the 4th of November this year. Well, I'm joined bright and early in the studio with Glenn Jenkins from the J4L Committee. Morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Ian.
You want all police officers to wear cameras?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Because it's something that over the years there's been thousands in state custody, 5,900 and some people since the 70s have died in state custody.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge figure.
That's a huge figure, and never one single prosecution ever. So this has led to, particularly in the black community, a massive distrust in the police, which isn't healthy for society, isn't healthy for us. And of course, now we're left with one of our friends in Luton who's died in custody, a family grieving, and not only grieving, haven't got a clue what happened. Now, whether it be Mark Duggan, whether it be Ian Tomlinson, whatever, in all of those cases where cameras were present, where they were, the verdict was clear. Ian Tomlinson, for example, before that they had him down as a heart attack, with a pathologist saying that was the case. Mark Duggan, was he executed? Did he have a gun? No one knows. Now, if those officers had tunic cameras on at the time, and crucially, Luton Police are going to come on here, Alf Hitchcock or whoever come on and tell you that they're trialling this in Luton, we're trialling it in Stafford. They are trialling it, but they have discretion as to when or not those cameras are on.
So I think Alf is coming on a bit later on, or someone's coming on, certainly. You're saying that the trials that are taking place at the moment, the cameras aren't on all the time. When do they get switched on then?
Well, that's exactly the question, isn't it? That it seems to me, and it seems to others, that when they'll get switched off is when there's some sort of aggression due to happen, whether that's a stop and search, whether that's an arrest, an imminent arrest or whatever. So, we're crystal clear in Leon's law that Leon's law should be something that's brought in immediately in Bedfordshire, because it can be without any legislation change needed whatsoever. The Chief Constable could do this today. And she said at the public meeting, I'll do all in my power. Well, let's make sure, Chief Constable, that camera is on every tunic, and if you turn it off, it's a disciplinary offence. And then what you'd have then, Ian, is you would have complete transparency. I would imagine that for some of the youth on the street, it'd be like living in a different country, because as you see on cops on camera, the cops will act differently, like all human beings will, when they know they're being recorded. Now, I'm a big civil rights campaigner, and the balance between freedom and privacy, if you like, in terms of not wanting my face on a police camera just in the street, if it was done properly, and we've got Liberty and Bernberg's looking at this for us to do a civil rights review over the next 8 weeks, today's meeting with the councillor is the beginning of an 8-week period where we talk to the public, talk to the civil rights lawyers, and say, look, tell us exactly where and when it should be turned off, but crucially at points of all interaction with the public, which is physical, that camera needs to be on.
It does seem odd that we don't have more cameras in the police force, because you would think that it would make giving evidence in court so much. It would make the police's job easier, wouldn't it?
Well, that's why the police are trialling it, because they're not stupid. You know what I mean? They know that if you've got a camera of an interaction and it records it, then the statement is a lot easier, because everyone's got a memory of it. Everyone's got a digital memory. But the police want the benefits, but not the public protection side of it, which is just classic, and we're not going to have that for a minute here, I promise you. If Leon Briggs, my brother and friend and neighbour, isn't going to die in vain, right, then this change is going to come about because of what's happened to Leon and others, and we're working with friends and families of other victims of police. I mean, if you look at the figures, right, something has to be done, and the riots that happened after Mark Duggan's thing, that's because there's petrol all over the road in this country, which is constant bicker harassment between police and kids on the street, and it ends up like a war. Now, if you had cameras on the police, and I wouldn't want cameras on bus drivers, it's because you physically interact with people and we pay you to arrest people. And what it would mean, as far as I can see, is that the police would have to learn A, manners, and B, in their approach, and B, proper restraint techniques that are safe, that are not going to kill people, and, because we still don't know what's happened to Leon. And that in itself, the family don't know. That in itself is a tragic addition to their pain, which isn't necessary, because police already wear cameras in Stafford. In Stafford, it costs them 300 grand, Ian. 300 grand. And by the way, in Rialto, in California, they trialled this. Southern law people, the civil rights people, said the balance between the accountability gain and the privacy loss is worth doing, because police complaints went down 80%. Violent incidents between the police and the public went down 66%. Now, my God, they would save the money on administering those complaints. Not that they ever get anywhere.
What's happening at the meeting today? What's the meeting about?
It's a meeting of the heads of police council. It's called CPG. I can't exactly get the initials right, but it's a meeting of the heads of council which meets to try and draw down the tension. And ever since this incident and other incidents like Justice for Jordan, other incidents we've had in town, after that there's meetings where we can try and sort of see that things don't kick off and all of that. And so it's cooperation to keep things calm and all of that. And they're having this meeting today, and we've said to them, look, if you're really serious about doing something in this town and in this country, then Leon's law is a positive, absolute solution short term. In the medium term, the real problem, Ian, comes from the fact that a policeman can bend you up on the street, right? You go in front of a magistrate, he'll tell the magistrate what's happened, you tell the magistrate what's happened. He's going with a cop all the time, right? Now, if judges were accountable for that, if you're a doctor and you make a decision that mashes up somebody's life, you rightly get struck off for negligence. Whereas if you're a judge, you can make a wrong decision, put someone in prison, let a thug walk, even if it was a police officer, and nothing happens to you, even if it gets turned over at a later court. Now, if those judges were accountable, then the police wouldn't have the licence that they have. So there's bigger changes, but in the immediate, cameras on tunics is crucial.
Glenn, I appreciate your time this morning. Maybe we can have a chat tomorrow to see how the meeting went. Is that okay?
We sure can, mate.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Glenn Jenkins from Justice for Leon. 08459 455 555. What do you reckon?